Hi everyone and welcome to Protocol 36, and in today's video we'll be speculating whether or not any of the Spider-Man, mostly talking about Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's versions, will die in Spider-Man No Way Home. Before we get started, if at any point you enjoyed this video, I really appreciate if you could drop a like, as that would really help out the channel. Thank you. This topic was once again suggested by MekiXX11, who has his own channel where he live streams a ton. Check it out once you're done watching this video, link will be in the description below. So it's pretty obvious that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will return as their own respective Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home. And there has been speculation going around whether or not they will both die in the film. Now, it's obviously safe to say that Tom Holland's Peter Parker won't die, because not only is he the current iteration of the character in live action, but clearly both Marvel and Sony have plans for him, and it wouldn't make any sense to kill off MCU Spider-Man permanently this early on into his career, especially when it's been rumored that he's going to get another trilogy set in university. But when it comes to Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's versions, killing off one of them could not only serve the story of No Way Home, but also giving one of them a decent conclusion to the story, depending how it's executed in the film. I think if any of the Spider-Man were going to die in No Way Home, I think it would probably be Tobey, since not only is he the oldest version of the character and sort of had the complete journey with Spider-Man 3, being a pretty strong ending to his version of Spider-Man, but also the main villain of the film is from his universe, which is obviously Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, teaming up with villains not only from the Amazing Spider-Man universe, but also characters like Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, and most likely Tom and Hayden's Church's Sandman, potentially having Tobey sacrificing himself in order to fight these guys, helping Tom Holland's Spider-Man, so he could eventually defeat them in the end. And depending how it's executed, it could be great, but personally I don't think any of them will die in the film, because Spider-Man No Way Home seems to be not only setting up Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which will be directed by Sam Raimi, and it has been theorized and rumored that Tobey will appear in that film, playing his Spider-Man again, but also No Way Home seems to be a celebration of what came before, while also having Tom's Peter deal with his identity being public knowledge now. And being Spider-Man is not only just a burden, which have ruined each of their lives at least at one point, but to also never give up, as there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that things do get worse before they can eventually get better, and to continue to use their gifts for the betterment of others, and not just themselves. After all, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. And with that, not only do I think both Tobey and Andrew will survive at the end of the film and help Tom Spider-Man defeat the Multiverse Sinister Six, with Tom Spidey delivering the final blow and defeating Norman, but I also think they will return in future films, like Tobey appearing in Multiverse of Madness, which we already talked about, and thanks to a recent rumor about one of the Fox X-Men characters appearing in that film, I can see that being more possible now. It's just that Marvel will have to make another arrangement with Sony for that to happen, but also potentially a Secret Wars film, where we not only see the MCU characters being in it, but also potentially some of the members of the Guardians of the Multiverse, Fox X-Men, and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to join in the fight and help save all of existence, which would not only be pretty cool, but would also be a massive film, potentially greater than Avengers Endgame, and that's the biggest film of all time. So if, or at this point when they do, it'll be absolutely insane. I did hear a theory at one point that Tobey could return to his homeworld in the Sam Raimi universe, but Andrew's Spider-Man will probably stay and become Ben Reilly of the MCU, which I think is very, very unlikely. The only way I can see this happening if there's nothing left in his universe. After the Amazing Spider-Man 2, maybe Aunt May died at some point and he didn't meet his Earth's version of Mary Jane, but I don't think so, as I do think not only will he go back to his Earth, but he will also meet and connect with his Mary Jane. After hearing both Tobey and Tom have their own MJs, that he might also be destined to be with an MJ, which would obviously be Shailene Woodley, where she could make a cameo, which would be pretty cool to see. However, what about you guys? Do you think any of the Spider-Man will die in Spider-Man No Way Home? If so, if not, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. If you enjoyed this video, please like and want more, subscribe. To begin, Protocol 36.